The brick veil. What we found inside the abandoned factory still haunts us. We never should have gone in. That's the first thing I want to say before I tell you what happened. It wasn't just a spooky building, it was something else entirely. Something was wrong. It started with a photo. Cassie sent a photo to our group chat. She had been driving past an old industrial district when she spotted an enormous brick building, half swallowed by trees. Look at this beast, she typed. I bet it's haunted. I scoffed. I bet it's moldy, I replied. But still, the idea stuck. Cassie, her boyfriend Drew, my cousin Eli, and I had been exploring abandoned places for months, posting our adventures to a barely watched YouTube channel. This place looked perfect. It was massive, remote, and forgotten. It didn't even show up on Google Maps. The arrival. We reached the site late in the afternoon. The sky was bruised with dark clouds, and the air felt heavier than it should have. It was like the place was holding its breath. The factory loomed like a giant, red-bricked carcass, with dozens of shattered windows staring down at us like empty eye sockets. Vines climbed up the walls, and nature had begun the slow process of swallowing it whole. Cassie was already filming. There's no name, Drew muttered, running a hand along the rustic gate. There's no sign, not even graffiti. That's what was weird. Every abandoned place we had ever been to had at least a few tags or busted beer bottles. But this, it was like no one had dared to enter. But, of course, we did. The first floor. Inside, it smelled like damp earth and forgotten time. Our boots echoed against concrete floor. Birds or something fluttered away as we passed. There was a twisted staircase just ahead of us, skeletal, rusty, and ominous. We decided to split up. In hindsight, not the best idea. Cassie and Drew explored the front offices, while Eli and I went deeper into the factory. Machines dormant stood like tombstones, their belts slack and gears silent. We found shelves full of dusty ledgers, most with dates from the 1950s. Then they abruptly stopped. I flipped to the last entry that read, "Transfer complete. Subject sealed. No further documentation required." I showed it to Eli. He raised an eyebrow. "Sealed? What kind of subject?" We didn't get a chance to guess. We heard a sharp clang echo through the space, and then Cassie's voice cried out from the far side of the building. The hidden door. We sprinted back, breathing heavy. Cassie and Drew were standing in front of what looked like a rusted elevator door set deep into a brick of clove. Only, it wasn't on any blueprint that we had found. And there were no buttons. Just a round keyhole and a faded plaque that read, Division C, Access Restricted. Drew found a crank nearby. "Hey guys, do you think this opens it?" "No way this thing still works," I muttered. Drew started turning the crank handle, and to our surprise, it worked. With a groan that sounded almost alive, the metal door slowly opened. The basement. The air that poured out was icy, bitter, and unnatural. I almost said we should leave right then. But Drew had already stepped inside, with Eli and Cassie right behind him, and so I went last, filming as I descended into the dark. The basement was all sorts of wrong. The walls were smooth concrete, newer than the rest of the factory. Fluorescent lights somehow still powered, flickering above us. We could hear and feel a steady, low hum vibrating beneath our feet. We continued to walk until we reached the corridor lined with thick, reinforced doors. What was strange is that there were no numbers on the doors, just strange, carved symbols. Cassie whispered, "Do you guys hear that?" I did. A wet, gurgle, whispering sound, like someone was trying to speak through water. The tank room. We found a partially open door and pushed it open. Inside was a room filled with glass tanks. Each one was clouded with algae and something floating inside. At first, I thought they were mannequins. Then, one twitched, causing Cassie to scream. Eli backed away and tripped over a loose floor panel. When he hit the ground, a hollow clang echoed. There was something under us. We pried the panel open and found a ladder that descended into the pure darkness. Drew grabbed the flashlight and started down without hesitation. When we reached the bottom, we realized that it wasn't a basement anymore. It was a bunker. The final descent. The walls were metallic and lined with pipes and flickering gauges. At the end of the corridor stood a single red door. It looked freshly painted, but untouched by time. On the door was a child's handprint. I reached for the doorknob, but I got distracted. We didn't get a chance to open it. Cassie gasped and pointed to the wall next to the door. Scrawled in what looked like soot were the words, "The door keeps it in. If it opens, we all go dark." We froze, frightened by what we just read and what we had stumbled onto. The whispering grew louder, and the lights overhead flickered violently. Something slammed against the red door. Not once, but twice. The escape. We ran as fast as we could, back up the ladder, through the tank room, past the whispering walls and the humming machines. But the elevator door at the top wouldn't open. Cassie was sobbing while Drew pounded on the metal. Eli was yelling. I turned the crank again and again, and then it finally gave way. We burst into the sunlight, gasping for air. The factory behind us hummed louder, as if it was in use, and the sky had turned eerily black. Epilogue. We were so scared and decided to never post the video. Cassie quit the group, Drew stopped answering texts, and Eli moved out of state without a word. Me? Well, I still have the footage. Sometimes I watch it just to remind myself that it really happened. But what scares me the most isn't what we saw. It's what I saw last night on my security camera. I do not know how, but the red door, it's open now. And my basement walls, it's starting to hum. Thank you for watching. Be sure to hit that like, share, and subscribe for more adventures.